Welcome back, everyone, to another Eat Speak.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Eat Speak podcast, the most delicious podcast in the Metroplex. I'm Bud Kennedy.
And Steve Wilson.
It is Cinco de Mayo time, and Luipe Ayala wants to jump in already because he's got margaritas for us. He's got La Playa Maya ready to talk about. It is Cinco de Mayo time. We wanted to be sure and talk about the difference in Cinco de Mayo this year and last year. Lupe, you had a pretty wild Cinco de Mayo last year, and it wasn't because of tequila. Tell us about that.
Well, it was our first time doing online packages.
Online margaritas.
And online margaritas. And we ended up getting a little overwhelmed. I think it happened to a lot of us. A lot of people got overwhelmed.
How many did you sell online for people? Do you have any idea?
I don't have a number. We ran out of beef at some point during the afternoon.
Wow.
I mean, we got overwhelmed. It was overwhelming.
Last year, everybody had been home for a couple of weeks. Everybody was really itching for a margarita and a fajita, and everybody wanted to call up and have La Playa Maya send it out. Well, this year, more of us have had the vaccines. We've got our shots. We can come out to La Playa Maya and enjoy it. And in general, Cinco de Mayo is a really big year in the restaurant, really big day in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Is it one of your biggest days?
It has turned into that over the years. It wasn't like that when we started. We started 33 years ago.
Right.
And at that point, it wasn't much of anything. Thanks to Corona and marketing in America and great marketing, it has turned
the beer, right? The beer.
It's one of the keys.
Corona beer is what we're talking about. When we said Corona, we used to mean beer.
Exactly. Yes, I have to clarify that. So lately, I would put it in the top 3 days of the year for us. Cinco de Mayo, obviously being a Mexican restaurant, it really has turned out into a top 3 easily.
That is the story that in the year after you opened was when Corona Beer and Gambrinus started promoting Cinco de Mayo as a big restaurant holiday in America. And Cinco de Mayo always celebrated the victory at Puebla, which was led by Texan, I have to point out, General Zaragoza. But so it was Texas beating the French, and something we're always happy to celebrate. But it was Corona that really made it a big celebration.
Exactly. It really has turned out into a great day for us with Mexican restaurants, I guess.
What are the margaritas that you do, and are you doing different ones now? How many different ones do you do? We'll talk about your margaritas first, and then we'll talk about your good food.
Yeah, no, margaritas, we do offer, obviously, our house margarita, and we do use gold tequila for that. So it's an upscale house for us. But we do specialty tequilas, obviously, we used to call Uptown, or the years ago used to be the gold margarita, and then the specific tequila. But we got a 2 levels up of that margarita, the house margarita, and you can have obviously whatever tequila you want on our upscale margaritas. We do give you that option, so whatever tequila, special tequila you want, we can use that on that. Fresh lime, we do. I mean, it's an upscale margaritas. We do offer a whole level of that.
Steve, are you more of a top shelf or a premium margarita guy? Which are you?
I'm more of a premium, whatever gold thing they have, normally.
The Grand Marnier?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, Contro, if you go up, we use Contro instead of Grand Marnier. So you can go up a little bit and makes it for a smoother operation. It's not as rough on the throat the lower end margaritas. And again, that's why we bumped it up to a better tequila for us. I like the softer. It's strong enough, but I don't want somebody to complain about being way too strong, like alcohol. So we do a nicer tequila on our house margarita.
Yeah,
all this is very
no frozen margarita for me either.
All this is very important this year because the Mother's Day, is only 4 days after Cinco de Mayo, so you have to have recovered in time for Mother's Day. So it's all
right. And I have to say that we do get as we serve a Hispanic market. Also, we're pretty wide spectrum of clients. So we get obviously a double dip because Mother's Day in the U.S. is that Sunday. But for the Hispanics, it will be the 10th of May that falls on that Monday. So we'll have a pretty good weekend. We'll be busy the whole weekend and Monday because we do get, for us, the 10th of May, the Mexican, when, Mexicans celebrate Mother's Day, it hits us as hard as the regular Mother's Day. So we thought we'd get a double whammy. Well, so it'll be busy for us for a while.
You talked about La Playa Maya has 4 locations, one on the north side, south side, and then the west side and Hudson Oaks as well. And you talked about the 2 clienteles that La Playa Maya serves. So this is a good place probably to talk about food. So Steve, show us the shrimp.
Well, we start out with a shrimp cocktail.
Yeah.
This is what, Lupe, you told me that La Playa Maya is known more as a Morisco's restaurant, a seafood restaurant on the north and south side, and a enchilada and fajita place on the west side and in Hudson Oaks. And I think that's really remarkable that you've been able to have 2 different kinds of branding with the same restaurant.
Exactly. We're one of the few guys that I think are able to pull that off. Where to one market we're a seafood place, and to the mainstream we're more a Tex-Mex place, and so we do get to tap into both markets. Now, on the north side and south side, we're a little bit more heavily onto seafood, and when you come west, we are getting a little heavier on the Tex-Mex. So we do both. We try to play to both markets.
You started out as a seafood restaurant, and the first time I came, when you were in the little place on Central next to Jim Lane's law office, I just remember having ceviche.
Right, and we didn't have any Tex-Mex back then. This is back in late '80s or early '90s. We didn't have any Tex-Mex, but people, we would get tables of 4, to larger parties. And there would be that one guy or that one lady that would say, I don't want this. Could I get some fajitas? Could I get some enchiladas? So I would get back there and cook it up for them. And it's like, oh, geez, this is pretty good. So, okay. So we started, and as we started developing a regular clientele, they would but they would ask us to add, you need to add this to your menu. So a lot of the plates, including a couple of seafood plates, they were originally made for particular people. I could probably give you some names of those people that specifically asked for that, and that we would make that for them, and it just made it into the menu.
Yeah.
So that's why we have such a big menu.
You didn't need to have enchiladas and tacos when you opened, because I couldn't believe it. When you opened, Jimenez was still open across the street.
Right.
And Sammy's next door.
Right.
And so you had Jimenez, Sammy's, and El Rancho Grande, which the Falcon family just retired, on the other corner. And so you were surrounded by enchiladas and tacos. And so
right,
you were
but nobody was addressing the Hispanic market.
Yeah.
Nobody was going right after them. And that's how we survived. We went after the Hispanic market on the north side. So we would sometimes find a normal, an American come in, and we would tell him, what are you doing? Are you lost? Because none of my staff spoke English back then. We didn't have any waitresses that really spoke English. So Jim Lane would come over, and obviously you and people would come over. And we were starting to get known on the mainstream, but originally we were a Hispanic-driven restaurant. That's how we survived.
A little hole in the wall.
Yeah, exactly. It was a little hole in the wall, little house. It was a converted old house.
Talk
And
about what the Mayan beach is when we think about fish tacos, we think of the West Coast restaurants that are
right.
serving fish tacos, and of course then the Fuzzy's chain took it and made it into a whole company. But
Right.
but you're more of a Cancun style.
Right.
I mean,
It's
more of a Yucatan.
The Yucatan Peninsula.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the Yucatan Peninsula style of seafood. So that ceviche yucateco, it refers to the Yucatan Peninsula. It's a very simple ceviche, and I think that's why it survives. Survived 33 years, that plate, because I think you can make it whatever you want, and people will spice it up or they just take it in like that. It's very light. A lot of women like it. And some people will start putting stuff on it. So you're basically getting the product at a very basic level. So, it's been very popular for us. But that's the way you get it down in the Yucatan. That's exactly the way you get it.
Steve, what looks good in the Texas menu? Do you have the brisket relleno or the steak and shrimp? Do you have any photos of that?
No, I had the.
That's the pollo champiñones. I thought that was a very interesting dish, and that is a dish I don't see in any other restaurants. It's a grilled chicken smothered in, and those are nice mushrooms with that, and onions and poblanos.
And that's the way it comes. It has some rice and a scoop of guacamole on it. So it's enough for two people, to be honest. We're throwing 12 ounces of chicken in there. So it's one of those plates that's designed to make you go, wow. Yeah. So you
and that's something really you could split.
Exactly. And a lot of people do. Or a lot of people, we know that when we sell one of those, there's going to be a to-go box coming to that table.
Yeah. And I think that's $14 or $15. It's not an
it's right at $14 exactly. 14 something.
So that's another thing. Your menu prices have really. I mean, you're not charging. I think everybody makes this joke now, and I'll just go ahead and make it. You're not charging Papacita's prices. So
exactly. No.
I mean, nobody wants to pay $22 for an enchilada dinner. So.
Right. Or the very few people want to pay $26 for skirt beef fajitas.
Right. Yeah. You're still you're still charging small restaurant prices for a pretty big restaurant. Well, you branched out from your little place on Central, then you got the restaurant on Hemp Hill in a house that's like 100 years old, and then you got that place on the north side that has some grand old history to it. So you got these two big historic locations. Right,
and that the north side location being the now City Hall or North Fort Worth City Hall.
North Fort Worth City Hall, yeah.
Yeah.
When you look at the arches on the front, that's where the fire. There's two big arches in front, and that's where the fire wagons would come out. The horses and pulling the fire wagons would come out. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. But no, we've been blessed, and obviously, one of the things that favors a guy like myself, as far as the pricing, is I don't have investors. So, I'm on my own. We've been growing this thing slowly on our own. So I don't have to pay dividends every quarter. And a lot of people, they're having, especially corporate money, where they have to make the dividends. So the prices I just find it incredible what people are charging nowadays for food.
Steve, do you have any questions about La Playa Maya?
Well, I mean, I also saw a lot of desserts. So y'all do a lot of desserts too?
Well, yeah, we tried, to make it a sweet ending. That is a homemade flan. That's my mother-in-law's recipe. That's not my recipe. That's my mother-in-law that gave me that recipe 33 years ago. So we still make that. Yeah, it's actually a pain to make, but it's real good. Yeah, that's why we keep
it's not from a box.
Well, I think it only has like 200 calories.
Oh, that's all, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Steve, you're probably closer to the Ridgely location. The Ridgely location is a completely different style of restaurant, and of course, it used to be a famous old Dos Hermanos was a popular restaurant growing up, so it's got a long restaurant legacy there in the Sunset Drive in the 6333 shopping center.
Right.
But now you're doing some expansion there at Ridgely, right?
Well, I'm redoing that patio. We're going to enclose it and obviously add some air conditioning to it to give it a little bit more usage. Right now, we're in Texas, so we're either freezing or we're burning up. We need to somehow stabilize that temperature in there. So we're adding some heaters to that area and brand new furniture. So by the summer, that's going to look very nice.
What do you think
And I wanted to
people?
reflect some of the inside on the outside. So it's not a completely different experience.
What do you think people should know about the food you're serving? What do you think Texans don't know that they should appreciate, or what do you wish they would try on your menu?
Well, I would suggest to some people to be a little bit more adventurous. I know that everybody likes to remain, stay with the true and safe, which is the fajitas and stuff. But we do a lot more with food than just the fajitas and the enchiladas. So, and especially some of the seafood dishes that we offer, the mojo de ajo, a la mexicana and stuff. Those plates are really good plates. We have a little fillet, so a small, 8-ounce fillet, fish fillet that we throw with a sauce. We have crawfish or you got shrimp on it. It has tequila base, and it's wonderful little sauce. And it's a wonderful plate. And I would say be adventurous and understand that if you come to our places and if you didn't like something, we're happy to change it for you, and you're not going to get charged for it. So you can be adventurous with on my penny.
If I get the tequila yucatecano, the tilapia yucatecano, I don't think I'm going to send it back. I think I'll probably keep it.
Well, but what I'm saying is, one of the things that over the years, people sometimes have told me you can't do that is if you come to my place and you say, I don't like it, well, you're not going to pay for it. I'm not, we develop customers. We want a relationship with you guys.
I hate to put you on the spot. Are there other little restaurants in Fort Worth that you think are really tried and true, that are really the places like the little startup places like you used to be? Are there other little restaurants that you think are true Mexicano?
True Mexicano, obviously, and I don't think they need the promotion, but obviously I do know that Esperanzas, my wife loves Esperanzas, and every other Sunday I do the menudo from Esperanza. So
catfish
they don't need advertising, but
I'm going to love your fish, but catfish Mexicana at Esperanza's is my secret recommendation.
Yeah, and they do. They do a great job. I think Esperanza is not a hole in the wall, but I think they do a great job with the food. Obviously, some of your taquerias, that's a different deal. Because of Corona and me not going out, I'm 60 years old, so I guess trying to be safe. So I don't, I haven't gone out a lot, to be honest with you. And I hate to say that because obviously I need people to come out, but we don't venture too much. We haven't for the last year.
Yeah. And of course, that's one benefit of having the patios that you have in Ridgeland and Hudson Oaks in particular, is being able to go to the patios.
Exactly.
Steve, any more questions about Tex-Mex or Mariscos?
Well, you brought up the tequila on the tilapia and stuff, and I was just thinking, that brought me back to margaritas, and then I was thinking, Mother's Day's coming up, and do mothers drink a lot of margaritas?
People, speaking to your topic, Steve, obviously you're enjoying tequila. I think that the tequila, the margaritas to go, the drinks to go, really proved popular, especially during the pandemic. I was amazed at the number of gallons that we were selling. And mostly women. So, the time to your Mother's Day. So, and it's not at the same rate that it was during the pandemic. But our mothers really enjoy a good drink, a good margarita.
Oh, good.
The Mexican martini, too, is another drink that mothers like, I think. So
they're pretty popular.
Over at the Hudson Oak store, they can order the margaritas to go, and the pastor can't see them when they're enjoying them. So things work out there. Okay,
Well,
well, we usually talk about other restaurant news. Some of the other things you'll find in Eats Beat in the Star Telegram. The Kimball Art Museum has started. The cafe's reopening kind of gradually, but they've started an afternoon tea where you have a choice of teas with scones
nice.
and muffins, and a nice little afternoon tea service there every afternoon. It's by reservation, but it's 2 for 25, or you can add an extra pot of tea for 5. It's a good deal on afternoon
That's a
tea.
good deal.
It is a nice deal. It's a very pretty place, and you go and have lunch and have a tea in the Kimball. It's and they'll have the full cafe open soon. Right now they're serving quiche and sandwiches and things to go, but they'll have the full cafe service back up running soon. The Paris Coffee Shop, Mike Smith retired, but it's still open. The staff and the hard workers. The guy who's baking the pies instead of Mike has only been there 20 years. Mike has been
Did he
baking the
really
pies for
retire?
55 years. What's
Did he
that?
really retire?
I
He's
think
really-
Mike really retired. From what I could see, he was not in there Monday or Thursday. I can't
Exactly.
speak about any other days, but of course, Lou Lambert's partners bought it now, along with Roy Pope Grocery, which will be opening in a couple of weeks. And so the Paris and Roy Pope staffs will be working together to bring a lot of good food. There is another Tex-Mex and Mexican restaurant opening on South University Drive. Maria's from the owner of Pacific Table. They have restaurants, and his family has. Felipe Armenta's family has the leading Tex-Mex restaurant in San Angelo, and so he brought some of that when he opened the tavern. But he never has opened a full restaurant like his family. He's going to bring some of his family's recipes and mix them with some finer recipes for a contemporary restaurant on South University Drive, where the Hofbrau used to be. So right there. So Maria's will be opening. He'll do really well. It's a great location, and he's just been a success at Pacific Table and Press Cafe and all of his restaurants. So
Yes.
he'll do well, and he's got that family tradition. He's just like Lanny Landcart, the third, from Lanny's of having the family tradition, but the culinary training to go with it. So he's got a great. You need to have a grandson go to culinary school, Lippy. Do you have a grandson who wants to open a 4-star restaurant anywhere? Oh, okay. I see.
He's a little young.
There's the future chef. All right, good.
Yeah.
And then all the restaurants in Mule Alley, I think they'll be packed for Mother's Day. I think certainly the Hotel Drover in 97 West at the Drover will have a big buffet. And then we now know that Tim Love is going to open a restaurant there called Paloma Suerte that will be his own Tim Love's Mexican restaurant. So
really?
everybody's getting into the act, Lupe. Everybody, I think when people say where's the best Mexican food in Fort Worth, I always tell them to go to 1500 block of North Main, because you have the different choices there between Los Asaderos with its really hot sauce and its green chicken enchiladas, and Little Amy's and Nuevo Leon around the back of the block, and then they'll always find you, and you're the anchor restaurant there. So I tell them to go there. I would say that people argue over Joe T's, but nobody ever argues about whether they like La Playa Maya. La Playa Maya and also El Paseo are the restaurants that I think people agree about and take friends to over and over again. You said you'd only been to Fort Worth once or twice before you opened your restaurant. Is that right?
Yes. There was little submissions that you don't want to do, but yeah, I was a GM in Dallas, and the opportunity came up to do something on my own, and it was the Casa Magallon was the place that was on that little house, and she made me a deal I could not refuse. I came over, and on a friend's recommendation, and they said, you'll do well if you target, the Hispanic, because nobody's going after them. And I was 27. I didn't know any better. I think I called myself an idiot, a 27 idiot with no sense, coming to a brand new place. And it was the best decision I ever made as far as the business. Yeah. Opening up on the north side, because it's been a blessing. The city's been great to us. We worship here at Holy Family for 33 years. My kids went through Holy Family, Nolan. So obviously we love the city. I wish I would have come earlier.
Well, thank you. And, I can't believe La Playa Maya's been here 33 years now. You're not the little bitty hole in the wall anymore.
Well, we grew up a little.
5 big restaurants, north side, south side, west
Four,
side, and Hudson.
yeah.
4 big restaurants, yeah. North
Yeah.
side, south side, west side, and Hudson Oaks. And,
Yes.
the Playa Maya, 4 locations, all with the same menu and reasonable prices. And
Right.
Lupe, it's really great to have you on the show. You're really good at explaining the difference to us in the taco places and the mariscos, and you have a little bit of everything. So
Yes.
thank you. It's
Well,
great
thanks for having me.
great to have you. Steve, any other news?
I think that's it.
Okay, all right. Well, then until next time, until the next Eat Speak podcast, I'm Bud Kennedy.
And Steve Wilson.
Luipe Ayala, God bless.